Hello there, everyone, and welcome to GamePoints episode 299, our semi-weekly little get-together. We talk about recent gaming news. As always, your host, Tim Brown. Join me today is...
David.
Tonight, David. First up, I want to mention the fact that we weren't here last week, and we're doing this a day early. So
Yeah, it's a weird time.
it's weird timing for all of us. We're having some things we got to deal with, but nothing that's going to keep the show delayed for too much. But thank you for showing up with us one day early as I tried to get my words out. It's been 2 weeks since I've done this damn thing, so I've already forgotten what the intro is. But those problems set aside, we do have some Elden Ring news we want to talk about, both of our experiences with the game and the fact that it is having some major issues as well on the technical side. We want to ponder whether or not EA really needs the FIFA name anymore as a brand in general. And we're going to get into some Silent Hill trolling. So people who want a new Silent Hill or think one's coming up, well, we probably got some bad news, but it is kind of funny. At least I think it is. But first, I want everyone here to know that this is an audience interactive podcast. So if you're watching here live or later over at YouTube or BitChute or Rumble or wherever else this podcast goes up, feel free to comment down below with any questions, comments, concerns, etc. Just try to keep them germane to the topics on hand. David.
Yes.
You and I have had a plethora of games that we both are big fans of come out over the past 2 weeks. I know that you have only been playing one of those essentially.
More or less, yes.
So what has come out besides the big one? What you said more or less. Have you been fiddling around with anything else that we should know about?
Well, you know what's funny is in this like crazy hell quarter that is this part of the year right now when all this stuff's coming out, I played some King of Fighters.
How is
You
that
said it
new-
wasn't big, but it's big to me, and it's big to a whole bunch of people.
No, that is fair. It definitely has a. It would be it is as big to you as Ace Combat is to me.
Yeah.
So that is fair. Have you, in fact, it's so Ace Combat's so big to me. I would play that over any other thing that I've actually been playing right now if a new one came out.
No, well,
Is it
it's not
good?
that big to me, but it's quite good.
Is it good?
And
Excellent.
more importantly, it has rollback netcode, so it feels great to play online.
I was watching some people playing online a couple nights ago, and it seems to be very, very good when it comes to handling online play. So
Yeah, it's very smooth.
excellent.
Feels good.
Excellent. What else have you been up to, though?
Since Thursday, I have played 35 hours of Elden Ring.
So in
Do you
72 hours,
Do you need to know what else I've been up to?
more than a third of that has been devoted to Elden Ring.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Is it your favorite of the Souls games?
I don't think it's fair to answer that because I haven't. This feels stupid to say in that I haven't played enough of it, but I honestly haven't played enough of it. I don't
Fair
know
enough.
like where the story's going. I don't know what happens. It's an open world game, and I'm just exploring. Like I'm not even sufficiently far into like the quote unquote story, probably. Like I would have beaten Dark Souls 1 by now with the amount of time I've put into this game.
I am shocked with how open that open world is, too, by the way. When they said open world, I thought it was going to be kind of subdued, maybe a couple of extra hidden paths here and there, and that was just going to be more
Nope,
of a...
it's
a gimmick?
fucking gargantuan, and there's so much stuff to do in any direction, and it makes it kind of the most approachable, maybe, Souls game or From game, in that normally you go and then you get stuck on a boss, and then you just have to fucking grind that boss out. That's your
Yeah.
next 3 days of your life. That's all you're gonna do.
You might
And
have one other direction you can go in a Souls game, but it's usually harder.
chances are the other direction is even harder. Like this is really what you're doing now. Elden Ring, you're like, you know what? I don't like this fucking boss. I'm gonna just go east and see what's over there, and you'll find all kinds of shit and random overworld things to fight that are, you know, could be pretty easy, could be crazy insane. You know, there's all kinds of weird triggers and extra bosses and just so much stuff to do. It's
Yeah, I have
ridiculous.
randomly stumbled into a couple bosses that were pushovers. I wouldn't even consider them bosses. They're more like weaker shadows that you would find in like Dark Souls or something like that. You know, the not PvP characters you'd occasionally run into.
Sure.
I count them like the equivalent of those, where they're not really.
But they're also
difficult.
great for anyone new to the series because it's like a completely approachable enemy
Yes.
with a big health bar.
And then I would also just turn a slightly different direction and run into some giant horrifying ass shit and went, nope, I will see you later. And would just leave and come back. The game is good so far, but not without some problems that I'm having. We'll get into that when we get into our first story for certain. Anything else you want to say about the game so far for 35-ish hours into it?
Yeah, I fucking love it. I don't even want to be here. I just want to play Elden Ring.
Well, we'll wrap up. We'll wrap up soon
Uh,
enough, hopefully, so you can get
uh,
back to it. There are
then I'll
two.
have to go to bed, Steven.
Let's
uh,
take a look here.
oh, Twitchy, great call out. Stealthy Twitchy in chat mentioned spent some time over the weekend playing the Cyberpunk 1.5 patch. Held off playing the game over a year. Still got weird issues in gameplay is soulless, but the visuals give me vibes of Crisis by pushing my graphics card to its air-blowing limits. I also went back and played some of the 1.5 patch of Cyberpunk. That's what I was doing early in the week when I couldn't find anything I wanted to play before the release of Elden Ring. That's what I did, is I played Cyberpunk 1.5.
Excellent, excellent. How did you enjoy it? And how did
Well,
you enjoy it, Chad?
I was playing it on the Xbox, which is where I was playing it initially, and it runs great now because it's the new Xbox and it runs better than it did before. So that's nice. It looks
Excellent.
good. It still can't do 4K. It's 1440, but whatever. It's a
When
good looking video game.
when I clear out all of the must-play stuff, which is going to take a couple of months, I am going to revisit that game because I want to play through it.
Yeah, honestly, just play through the story.
Yeah,
I think
it's probably what I'm
like
going to do.
the game wasn't a game of the year. It's not the best game I've ever played, but I still think it's fun. Like I liked it when I played it. So there
It
you
is
go.
on the back burner, however, because not only has Elden Ring come out, but there have been two other games that have been occupying my time. The first one, Total War Warhammer 3.
Mm-hmm.
I
Tracks.
love it. There's not too much more I can say about it, though, because it's essentially still the exact same game as Total War Warhammer 1 and 2 with just a few extra features. But if you like the first two Total War Warhammer games, you're going to like this one.
Makes sense.
I will
And
say
your
the
other pick?
ability... What was that?
I was gonna say, and your other pick?
The other pick that I've been doing is Horizon Forbidden West.
Mm. Horizon again.
God damn it, David.
I know you loved the first one.
I think I love this one just as much, if not more.
Wow.
I don't know if it's going to hit me emotionally as well as the first one did, because that first one just has certain moments where I have to... I kind of had to calm myself down because specifically one character. But this one, it's still... It's an open world game, and I know that Elden Ring, and we've seen all those again, but I don't feel like I'm bogged down with bullshit. Stuffy Twitch in chat says the side missions that are meh. The main story is entertaining, but I've been playing Elden Ring. The first few side missions I played of Horizon were definitely kind of meh as well. But as I'm getting deeper into the game, those side missions are getting better and better and better. Now they still have some of your grindy bullshit like kill 5 birds and get their meat and find their eggs.
Well, and
for
I heard that there
example.
was a bunch of different types of like named side missions in that game, where there's like side missions, which are kind of like story chunks, and then there's like
Yeah.
gigs, and then there's like bounties or whatever the hell they're called in
Yeah,
that game, right?
they break it up. You have like your main quests, and then you have your side quests, which aren't essential to beating it, but tend to be full of story of some kind. And
Hmm.
then you have your bullshits, which are like errands, which are the get
Gotcha.
10 flowers or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you have like the bounties, which is kill this specific type of critter. And they break
That's kind
them
of
all
cool.
up nicely. And if you're a platinum hunter, by the way, you don't have to 100% any of those, I don't think. I think you just have to do like 3 or 4 of those to get the trophy for that.
That's amazing. Wow,
Yeah.
what a
So
respectable time trophy.
it lets you platinum the game without necessarily 100%ing all of it, but you still have to go out of your way to do some work.
Fair.
From what I have been told, I can't confirm that firsthand yet, but I am really, really enjoying it. I'm like 30, 35 hours into that game, which also came out relatively recently, and I think I have maybe 25% of the map uncovered right now.
Wow.
But it doesn't feel like I'm grinding on it.
Hmm.
It doesn't feel like an Ubisoft open world game where I'm just going through the motions going, all right, outpost, check. Treasure boxes of this area, check. Killed that target, check. It feels natural as I'm progressing through it.
I'm like interested. I'm excited to play that game eventually when I get to it, but I preemptively feel bad for Horizon, much like I did for it the first time. The first time Horizon came out, it launched like a month before Breath of the Wild, and then got overlooked for everything all year, even though it was an incredible game. Now they just released one like 2 weeks before Elden Ring.
which is getting like 9s and 10s across the board. Currently setting
So
that Metacritic
most
at like a
likely, even though
97 or
this new
something like
Horizon
that.
is beloved, probably going to be snubbed come the Keeleys.
Which brings up the first story I want to get into, because I actually take umbrage with that 97 rating that I'm seeing getting tossed around for Elden Ring. Let's talk about Elden Ring's performance issues.
Let's do it.
Now, there have been a myriad of problems with the game on a technical side, despite it being a massive hit. But something like 750,000 players on Steam the first day that came out, easily dwarfing any other From Software title that's come out yet. But since it's launched, it's been plagued with reports of tech issues across PlayStation and PC, with the PC being especially called out for its massive frame rate drops.
DirectX 12, baby.
What was that?
I said DirectX 12.
Yeah, that's very much a culprit. I couldn't tell you for certain, though. All I know is that so many people are having issues with it that this game is now sitting at a 75% positive on Steam, positive ratings, which doesn't sound too bad. But considering it was in the low 60s because so many people were pissed off by this, it is actually a noticeable enough problem to drag the rating down. As such, the developers have called out the following issues as being their focus to resolve, hopefully, in the near future. One, issues with the mouse being too sensitive on PC. Two, I normally play this game with a controller, but to experiment with this, I did hop on the mouse, and holy shit is that thing jittery on this game if you use a mouse.
Also, I think the mouse and keyboard commands in general are just atrocious because this game is definitely built with a controller in mind.
It is.
As a word of warning, I play all these games with the controller anyway, so it doesn't bother me. But I know people that do play on mouse and keyboard, and you basically need to re-keybind the whole game to make it playable. It's real bad. Like sneak is spacebar, and jump is like F. It's really bad.
What's really annoying is that I played through Dark Souls 3 on a mouse and keyboard just fine, and I had a very easy time controlling that. But with this one, I wanted to just play the controller because I actually have a controller hooked up and everything like that, and it's there is an issue here with it.
I play anything with a roll button with a controller.
Yeah, and I that is my preferred way. It's just at the time I did Dark Souls 3, I didn't have one. Apparently, the easy anti-cheat feature is failing to launch if you have any kind of multi-byte character name. So if you have like kanji in your name, it just it won't launch for some reason. Frame rate, as we talked about, and other performance issues during gameplay, which sometimes a frame rate drop in say many games wouldn't be that much of a problem other than annoyance. In Dark Souls, in Elden Ring, that shit will get you killed.
Yeah,
handily killed. Fair. And this is some shit that I have seen from a secondhand source, but a lot of people are reporting to me as well. Game data does not save correctly in the PS5 version. There was someone who I know who was playing on the PlayStation 5, played it for about 3 hours, put it into rest. Like you can any other PlayStation game, you put it into rest, and you can just resume right back up. But when they resumed it on Elden Ring, it turned his game off. Like he had to go back in and relog again, and none of his 3 hours of progress were saved. He lost like 2 boss fights from it.
Damn.
So there are some technical issues, and not by some, I mean a lot of technical issues that actually affect gameplay on this, which brings me to my problem that I have with the reviews of this game. It is good. I would argue it is even great. But when you have this myriad of technical issues that so many people are having, and so few reviews even mention the technical problems, how does this game rate as high as it is?
Okay, I've got a couple of theories here.
Okay, by all means.
One is that any major publication reviewer is playing on this on an absolute fuck all beast of a PC, and they're not noticing any problems.
Or a PlayStation 5.
Or a PlayStation 5, and theirs is just the one that works. Because that's also a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alternate idea, review copies came out before the day one patch, and they were given that, like, here's some bugs and issues that will be addressed in the day one patch, and maybe they just attributed the sluggishness to something that was noticed and going to be fixed, and overlooked it in their review.
And that's the one that I think that happened. Well, there's also the third theory that a lot of people just didn't play it all that much and reviewed it anyways, which has been backed up by the fact that a few reviewers have come out and said, yeah, I only put like 5 hours into it. But that's
and then like, oh, this is great. I'm gonna give it a 10.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story. I don't want to go down that because that can get into a very vitriolic conversation. But one thing that I do want to mention is I have reviewed a couple games before. I get early codes and stuff, and I get that review guide that says, hey, these are issues in the game. They will be fixed in a day one patch. So, and they sometimes instruct the person not, they don't say do this or else, but they'll be like, so you probably shouldn't include them in your review.
Mm-hmm.
I've always disagreed with that, and I will ignore that. If I run into one of those problems and it has affected my gameplay experience, I report on that because I review the game or I preview the game that I was given, not the one that it could be. So if your second theory there is the case, and these reviewers were told in a review guide, hey, ignore this because it's not going to be a problem in day one patch, and they chose not to, they had those issues and didn't report it, that is a major, major issue with the, what's the word I'm looking for here? Credibility of the outlet.
Okay, I've got a final theory.
Okay.
Option 5, I guess. They played it, they saw and had the problems, and then they still decided the game was so fucking good that they gave it a 9. Because it's that much better.
A 9 would be fine.
AAA shit that we've had to slog through for the last 2 years.
A 9 would be fine. But in IGN's case and a couple of the bigger outlets, when they're giving them 10s.
Oh, big old 10s.
I think you underestimate how big of a deal assigning a 10 is at a place like IGN. They literally, like, I was there, I was working at IGN when Undertale came out, and Undertale got reviewed and got a 10. And they went up to the reviewer and she's like, I want to give this a 10. And they're like, all right, hold on. They actually had to schedule a meeting with 5 senior editors, and she had to justify her 10 because that actually is like a mark of credibility, a mark of excellence to them. So
I can justify it in that IGN meeting. You ready?
Yeah.
It's a FromSoft game.
That's a problem,
if we put it
though.
lower, our fans will leave.
That's a problem. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying that there's any untowardness going on here, but I do find it suspect that a lot of these outlets ran these reviews and didn't make mention of any of these problems because they are plentiful enough and game hindering enough that they should be at the forefront of a lot of publications, and they're not.
The original launch of Dark Souls had an area that you're familiar with called Blighttown, which ran like absolute fucking shit on everything that it was on. That game was still a 10.
And it should that Blighttown should have been called out and probably shouldn't have been given a 10. Anything that has in any game in I know this goes into the reviews or subjective category, but there are some things that have to kind of be held universally true. And if there is a problem with a game on a technical side that hinders the gameplay experience to the point that it is affecting that level of problems, it needs to be called out, and it cannot, almost by definition, be a 10 at that point. It could be a 9.5.
See,
it could be a 9.9 if you use the S900 point scale.
Here's where your brain and the way you process things fucks this all up. Because it's a review and it's subjective. And if the game that you think is your favorite game of the last 20 years has technical problems, it doesn't fucking matter. It's still a 10 out of 10 in your heart. And if that's what the reviewer decided, then what are you going to do about it, man? It's an opinion. So that's why you're like, if it has a technical problem, it cannot by definition be a 10. It can be whatever the fuck the reviewer wants it to be, dude.
I get where you're coming from, and I'm not saying that it can't be a 9.5 or a 9 or anything like that.
The fact that you refuse to allow it to be a 10 because of something that you're calling a technical issue. Like, there are people that are willing to overlook stuff like this.
There are minor technical issues, yes, but I feel that Elden Ring's problems rise to the occasion that it eliminates it from being that. And I get
now, if you're bringing it back to Elden Ring specifically,
we could talk about Elden Ring specifically as well.
We could talk about that and how some of the bugs are pretty damn bad and can make the game very difficult for an already difficult
Yes,
video game.
I'm specifically referring
I'm
to Elden Ring
arguing
here.
in the favor of if it's in your heart to give a game a 10, you give it a fucking 10.
Normally, I 100% agree with you on that. It's
Uh,
specifically with Elden Ring where the technical issues are prominent enough that that the final score should absolutely reflect that.
that being said, I would probably give it a 10 also.
God damn it. Fair enough. Like I said, it is there is
had to be
there.
done.
I don't fall on an absolute aside on either one of those stances. By the way, I don't think that reviews should be 100% objective, but I also do think there are certain criteria that should be met when you're putting in an honest review.
Yeah, if we're being real, like we haven't put out any reviews as a show in, well, one, in a long time, but two, we've never put numbers on anything.
Yeah, I
It's
don't. I
always just
hate
like
numbers.
we like it, maybe get it on sale, or maybe wait for patches, or we don't like it. That's
And
like our
this
entire fucking review score.
very debate that we're having on here right now is why I fucking hate numbers on reviews.
Yeah, and a lot of places are getting rid of them, but there's some you gotta have a number, because if you don't have a number, then you won't be on Metacritic or Rotten Tomatoes, and no one will click on your little article and give you traffic.
Fuck that. If I wanted traffic, this would be an outrage channel. Instead, it's just whatever drives me nuts personally. It's like outrage, but only about shit that I care about. Unfortunately for me, the shit that I care about, no one else cares about.
I mean, I care about some of the shit you care about.
Yeah, there's a Venn diagram here, to be fair. And I put in some stories that make you angry, or in the case of this next one here, just probably make you giddy with the trolling you get to pull on some people.
The best thing that's happened to me this week, besides Elden Ring releasing, is this story from Games Radar, which is actually just from the internet in general. But someone has bought the Silent Hill website, and it is not Konami. They forgot. The Silent Hill website is no longer controlled by Konami. The publisher has let its ownership of the website silenthill.com expire, allowing someone else to swoop in and buy it. Konami's care for Silent Hill has been lax of late, to say the least. There hasn't been a main entry in the beloved Survivor horror series since 2012's Silent Hill Downpour. Minor side note, how many people really care about Downpour?
Downpour pissed me off more than it should have.
Is enough for me.
So let me
I don't need a review of Downpour.
Let me get this off my chest real quick. I'm not going to review Downpour.
In the last 10 years, they haven't had a good one, but it's a little bit longer than that.
Downpour was so frustrating to me because I would play it and it was a mediocre game, and then I would see like 3 minutes of just amazing stuff there. And then it would pull back to mediocrity or even bad in cases. It kept showing me glimpses of what it could have been, and then pulling away from it. I'm like, you son of a bitch. God damn it. That falls into the line of I'm not mad, I'm disappointed territory.
Anyway,
I know it can
Konami
be
has let lapse the website for a game franchise that hasn't been good in over a decade. The new owner appears to have made some changes. As reported by PC Gamer, if you navigate to the Silent Hills website, you are now greeted with a page titled "He Was First." On the page is an image of a recent tweet by Masahiro Ito. The tweet reads, "I wish I hadn't designed fucking Pyramid Head." The apparent reason behind Ito's original tweet is that the artist doesn't like the overuse of Pyramid Head's iconic and horrifying image. In a tweet that has since been deleted, he said, "To use Pyramid Head in many titles makes Pyramid Head cheaper."
100% on that, by the way. Pyramid Head was specifically a representation of James Sutherland's fractured psyche in Silent Hill 2, which means that monster is specifically crafted to that protagonist and that protagonist alone, given the nature of Silent Hill. The fact that Pyramid keeps appearing in video games breaks its own fucking canon.
In December 2019, Konami also forgot to renew its license, leading to the SilentHill.com domain being on sale for $9,835.
Which is twice as much as the rights to Free Space would have cost me if I would have bought that when it came up.
Oh, well.
So the main reason why I wanted to bring this up is because to everyone who thinks that Silent Hill might be coming back, well, if that was the case, you figure that Konami would have fucking upped to the trademark on the Silent Hill website.
There's a good chance, but it's also just hilarious because they're potentially going to have to buy it back. Like, they're either going to buy it back, and then we're all going to have that speculation of, oh, they bought the domain. Are they going to make a new video game? Probably not. They just want to license a pinball machine or something. Or they let it lapse and they just leave it there, and no one has any hope at all.
I think this more than anything kind of disproves that a new side hill is coming anytime soon, because you would have your PR just on top of this in your marketing on top of this.
They would have sent the check to renew the website.
And they didn't, because, well, it's Konami, so why not? Speaking of other shit companies, let's move on to this next one. I kind of like this story, actually, but I find it highly interesting. Via the Video Game Chronicle headline, EA CEO tells its staff it has been impeded by the FIFA brand, and it's just 4 letters on a box. To the article itself. Electronic Arts CEO Andrew Wilson has given the employees a frank appraisal of why he believes the company could be better off ending its 30-year relationship with FIFA. In his most revealing comments yet on the status of the license negotiations with the footballing body, Wilson told staff in an internal company meeting in November that the FIFA license had been an impediment to EA's ambitions for the game series. In comments provided anonymously to VGC, Wilson claimed that FIFA had precluded EA from expanding its games into models beyond the traditional 11v11 or broader digital ecosystems, and suggested that the only value EA got from the license in a non-World Cup year was the 4 letters on the front of the box. EA declined to comment when provided with advance notice of the story. That's kind of harsh. That's EA essentially going, this name does us nothing other than cost us money, and all we get to do is put the FIFA name on there. We have no other reason to have the licensing agreement with them. That's a pretty harsh comment.
Yeah, it's interesting, and makes me wonder if Konami's going to try and buy it.
That's definitely something on the table. Back to the article, because they kind of talk about some of the things that EA wants to do and some of the reasons why they don't care too much for it. EA and FIFA have been engaged in a surprising series of back-and-forth statements last year, which started when the video game publisher decided to make public it was considering ending its relationship with the footballing body. According to a New York Times report published the same month, negotiations between the pair stalled due to EA's desire for more rights and FIFA's alleged demand for EA to double its payment for the license to $2.5 billion over the next decade. If negotiations aren't resolved before the EA's current 10-year naming deal expires after this year's Qatar World Cup, Qatar,
definitely Qatar.
Qatar World Cup, FIFA 23 could be the final EA Sports football game to use the FIFA name. Andrew Wilson said, I would argue, and this may be a little biased, that the FIFA brand has little more meaning as a video game than it does a governing body of soccer. As an aside, I think he's right at this point. The FIFA name as a governing body has been dragged through the mud through scandal after scandal after scandal. But the soccer game is still called, much like how we call it Madden, they just call it FIFA.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely some brand awareness on there, and I'd be willing that people look at FIFA, the video game, with significantly more positivity than FIFA, the organization. Back to Andrew Wilson's quote. We don't take that for granted, and we don't try to be arrogant. We've worked really hard to try to make FIFA understand that what we need for the future. Basically, what we get from FIFA in a non-World Cup year is 4 letters on the front of the box. In a world where most people don't even see the box anymore because they can buy the game digitally.
What a fucking line.
Yeah, in a world where most people don't even see the box anymore because they can buy the game digitally. That's so fucked up. It's great. Continue from him. Our players tell us they want more modes of play, different things beyond 11v11, and different types of gameplay. I would tell you it's been a fight to get FIFA to acknowledge the types of things we want to create because they say our license only covers certain categories. Our players want us to expand its digital ecosystem more broadly. Our fans telling us that they want us to go participate in that space. Our FIFA license has actually precluded us from doing a lot of this stuff. Again, FIFA's just a name on the box, but they preclude our ability to be able to branch into areas that players want. Now, David, EA is saying, hey, we want to do other types of games other than 11v11. We want to add more modes of play. One of the unspoken things on here is that I also think FIFA gets to regulate what advertisements are shown in their game.
That makes sense.
So
why wouldn't they?
If EA was wanting to put more advertisements in certain things or their own advertisement, I think, I'm not positive on this. I think part of that agreement is that, though.
I think there's one big thing that EA is forgetting, though, here.
What is that?
People don't buy it because it's called FIFA. people buy it because it has all the teams and players that they like watch playing their favorite game.
Here, I don't know. So I don't think I honestly don't know, but I don't think FIFA follows the same rules as like the NFL does. For example, if you don't in America, if you don't pay the NFL for their franchise rights, you don't get to have the 49ers in your Madden. I don't think that's the case with FIFA.
Is it not?
I don't know. I don't know enough.
Can they
about
just
it to say
license like
things.
all the teams and everything?
But
I
I
always just
believe-
assumed that it was just this is their agreement. They have the FIFA license, so they have access to all the organizations. But I mean, if they could just get the organizations and don't have to get the FIFA name, then go for it, guys.
I
Save
think
yourself a
all
little money.
FIFA does is organize the bigger championships. I think I will profess my ignorance on this.
Yeah, I'm actually now really interested in how that license works, but that also sounds incredibly dry, so I'm not going to look it up or make us drag this out any longer.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about how it works, but Sports Ball and I just don't see eye to eye. Let's take a look at chat here real quick. Watermelon says, "My dad is a FIFA video game enjoyer and has never heard of the organization." That is interesting. Yeah, it's that one line though that you said is one hell of a line. All we get from FIFA in a non-World Cup year is 4 letters on the front of the box in a world where most people don't even see the box anymore because they buy the game digitally. I think EA is going to drop them. I think FIFA as a name has become toxic. I think it's become so toxic that EA can get away with calling their next year game EA Football Club. And go, here's EA Football Club 2023. And I think they can get away with it. I don't think they need the FIFA name at all. At all.
We will have to wait and see.
It is a branding hit, though. Imagine if EA made a football game not called Madden.
They did. It was called NFL Blitz, and it was fucking amazing.
Well, NFL Blitz, I mean, come on. It's like NBA Jam. You know what you're getting into there.
Yeah, also good. Also better than the normal games.
But that also
I like it when they make the fun sports games. Hot Shots Golf, anyone?
That also ignores the whole licensing issue with not being able to use their teams and everything like that as well. I think the NFL has more centralized control over football, American football, than FIFA does soccer. Once again,
that makes sense.
Profess my ignorance on this. I am not 100% positive on that. But I find this fascinating. If EA can keep the teams and not use the FIFA name, sure, go for it. FIFA's a corrupt-ass organization, so knock yourself out.
Like, would anybody really care? Are sales going to dip? Because, well, maybe there's people that somehow managed to play an EA Sports game and didn't see the EA Sports logo at the very beginning, like plastered right in their face. And so when they see EA Sports Football Club the next year, they get confused.
All I know is that it's about soccer, and as such, I am bound by law as an American not only to mock it, but not give 2 fucks about it.
I watch football.
Yes, you watch football. Real football.
I watch football.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
I can do
Europeans and South Americans in
I
chat
can
who
do
do not
both.
like that statement.
I watch both hand and foot varieties of football.
The only football that makes sense is the one you play with your hands, David. And yeah, I've realized the irony of that statement. Moving on. Why don't you go ahead and start us with our next topic here?
Yeah, we don't need to talk about how fucking stupid our football is. That's a whole other thing. Activision to delay next year's planned Call of Duty game. In a story from Bloomberg, Activision Blizzard Incorporated will delay a Call of Duty game that had been planned for next year. The first time the franchise will be without an annual mainline release in nearly 2 decades. 2 decades.
Yeah.
Consistent.
Yes.
Every year, Call of Duty games finally taking a break. This is the most amazing thing since they did that to Assassin's Creed.
I saw this and I thought it was bullshit for a second. I actually had to research on my own, and no, there's been a Call of Duty every year.
Yeah, they go way back. They don't go by as far as Madden,
No, but
they go way back. The company is pushing off the release after a recent entry in the series failed to meet expectations, leading some executives to believe that they're introducing new versions too rapidly. said the people who asked not to be identified because they weren't authorized to discuss the deliberations. Minor side note, if your game wasn't so shit, maybe more people would have played it. Activision is working on other projects to fill the gap next year. A Call of Duty game set to come out this fall will receive a steady stream of additional content, and there will be a new free-to-play online title next year, said the people. Treyarch, the Activision-owned studio working on the now delayed game, will also help with the free-to-play title. I'm wondering if it's just going to be like Warzone 2 or something. The delay will have a massive effect on the video game industry. Every fall since 2005, Activision has put a new premium entry in the lucrative shooting series. Call of Duty games are regularly top yearly sales charts and have sold more than 400 million units since the series began in 2003.
This is super exciting to me because I think you nailed it when you mentioned it worked for Assassin's Creed. I think that is an amazing point to make, and I do feel that Call of Duty needs an off year to kind of recharge the batteries, as it were.
Yeah, having 3 studios just rotate so that you're constantly churning out a Call of Duty game, like they're not really breaking the mold every time. Like it's just the same video game again. They make some new textures and they call in some voice actors. Sometimes they're even different to record variations of the dialogue that they've had for the last 4 games. Like it's, come on.
You know what else?
And I know you like the stories in Call of Duty games, but it's just they're all Michael Bay movies.
Yeah,
man.
they're 100% popcorn flicks to me.
Yeah.
You know what's really exciting about this?
Mm-mm.
It has nothing to do with Call of Duty. Only as a side, it has to do with Call of Duty. The moment this announcement happened, I promise you, executives at every major and minor publisher, from the gross to the small to the infinitesimal, went, whatever game we're making, we have to have it ready to go fall 2023. Because there is now
100%.
Massive,
everybody says we are making a first-person shooter and we're releasing it in fall 2023.
There's now a massive hole in 2023 because Call of Duty still, every one of those 20 years or however long it's been since they released one, has always been the #1 best-selling game with like 2 exceptions. And that was the year Grand Theft Auto and Red Dead Redemption 2 came out.
The reason that we are currently in a gaming apocalypse in Q4 is a side effect of the fucking non-stop Call of Duty effect.
Yeah, because no one wants to go up against
Games kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed till they just started slipping to the next year. And it wasn't a big deal because the further away you get your game releasing from Call of Duty, the better your sales numbers are.
Yes. This has now left a massive vacuum that every publisher is going to try not only to like get that year's worth, but try to establish them as now this is the first person shooter we make this year. So I expect 2023 to have a shit ton of announcements for that October, November-ish time when it comes to the shooter game. And everyone is going to try to bring their A game to it because they all now have a shot at the title and they're all going to try to take it.
Here's the fun part. Considering the fact that the end of 2023 is like 18 to 24 months away, right? It's less than that. None of those games will be any good. If you see this news and you go, now we will make a game, that game's probably not going to be great. If you're already making a game and you say, let's start targeting late 2023, then there's a chance. But I'm just saying, if you're hearing this and then making the decision,
that could be a problem.
Unless you're an indie dev, maybe don't try and rush a first-person shooter out by the end of next
Watermelon
year.
says
if you are an indie dev, like if you're New Blood, then hell yeah, drop that shit.
Yeah, there is definitely a tenor in there, and you can kind of if you're watching like the rumor mill and everything like that, and the anonymous sources side of the industry and just general dev talk and dev chatter. There is a tenor in the air of, oh God, we have our chance to make it big. Get this shit out by late 2023. Which comes with some positives and some negatives. You could have shit rushed out, or you could have things that were supposed to come out early 2023 get delayed for that extra layer of polish.
Which could make them even better.
Yes. So it is going to be very, very interesting to see what fills this void. I'm really looking forward to it.
Speaking of acquiring polish.
Oh, fuck.
See, it's funny because they're spelled the same.
Yeah, I get it. This is via GameIndustry.biz. Tencent, and you are right to fear Tencent, has acquired 1C Entertainment. To the article, Tencent has acquired Polish developer and publisher 1C Entertainment for an undisclosed sum. The deal, which was recorded last November, will see Tencent take all shares from the previously owned company's former parent firm 1C. Additionally, 1C Entertainment and all subsidies with 1C in its name will be rebranded within 6 months of the deal's completion. 1C Entertainment has launched over 100 games to date and is best known for the publisher of aircraft simulator Il-2 Stormvik, as well as the Men of War franchise. You are right to fear Tencent. Of all the conglomerates out there that are buying up companies, Tencent is the one that I just loathe the most. And this is unfortunate because I was actually very friendly with a bunch of devs from Tencent. I used to be in a very constant contact with them until about a year ago or so when they kind of just fell off the face of the earth, probably because they were looking to sell. What's weird about this entire thing, though, is that they have themselves listed as a Polish developer in the PR statement, but I know for a fact that 1C is headquartered in Moscow, and they were founded by Russians, and they are a Russian dev team. Which makes me wonder if recent news made them go, we should call ourselves a Polish team because we have an office based in Poland right now. Furthermore, to add confusion to it, their official Twitter handle is located in the Czech Republic. They say they're a Czech Republic team, so I don't fucking know what's going on with that shit. That's just something that I caught that I thought was wild. Because like the head of 1C is a guy by the name of Boris who literally has his headquarters in Moscow.
The only thing we actually know is they were bought by Tencent.
I found the multiple different geopolitical locations for their company kind of funny though.
I've also played 0 of their video games.
I've played Stormovik.
But they've made a lot of video games.
It's a flight simulator, essentially. I was trying to think of a different word for it, but it wasn't come to me. Men of War is all right.
It's a fine game.
Men of War is all right. But I just find the fact that they're highlighting that they're Polish and not Russian fascinating because 1C used to be very, very proud of that Russian heritage to the point to where I went to one of their events, their press events, and they were giving out like those giant furry Russian hats emblazoned with like 1C on them. So to see them call themselves a Polish developer now, I have to wonder maybe they sold to a Polish team and I missed it. That could be why I lost contact with them, or it could just be like I said, the current issues going on right now. I would totally understand why they wouldn't want to be associated as a Russian development team at the moment. I just found that funny. I found that humorous that things are being tossed around. But yeah, Tencent grows bigger. You are right to fear Tencent, and customary fuck the CCP in Taiwan as its own independent country.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. It's like a subject that I don't really want to get into because it's a whole other thing because there's like a horrifying fucking humanitarian crisis happening right now. I don't know.
I get it.
I don't have the energy for that.
I absolutely get it. I do think that might have something to do with the fact that they're
yes.
We talked about.
I think you might be onto something here, but man, do I not have the energy for anything even close to that conversation.
I don't want to get any deeper.
That's why I talk about video games.
I don't want to get too deeper. I'm just saying that's something I caught.
I gotcha. In speaking of things to catch, hey, in a story from IGN, Pokemon Scarlet and Pokemon Violet announced for late 2022. The Pokemon Company has announced that Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, a brand new open-world Pokemon adventure, will be released on Nintendo Switch in late 2022. Announced during Pokemon Day 2022's Pokemon Presents, these 2 new Game Freak-developed games will feature a new region, and its 3 new Gen 9 starter Pokemon have been revealed. Because that's how many gens there are, I guess. You gotta pick between Grasscat, Sprigatito, Firecroc. Man, I'm not reading these fucking Pokemon names. There's a cat and a crocodile and a duck. Those are the new ones.
Come on, you gotta save a duck's name.
Oh, actually, the duck's pretty good. It's Quaxley, but they spelled it stupidly. Anyway, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are an evolutionary step, that's their quote, not mine, for the Pokemon franchise and features an open world where various towns with no borders blend seamlessly into the wilderness.
Okay, first of all, fuck that. Towns need borders.
It might be Maybe it's a loading issue. I don't know. I don't have time for this. Pokemon Company also notes that Pokemon can be seen everywhere in this wide open world, in the skies, in the sea, and on the streets.
So, David,
So don't drive your car too fast or you'll run over a Pokemon.
I'm not saying that you're an expert at Pokemon or anything like that, but you know more about this franchise than I do. Is this like actual mainline entries into the Pokemon universe now, or is this just
the fact that they say Gen 9? I think this is a mainline Pokemon game.
Yeah, that's why I'm thinking too.
Because every time there's a new generation, that's that new Pokemon game.
Oh, thank you very much. Chat's saying it is the new mainline. This is the new Gold and Silver and whatever it is.
But yeah, like, well, one, it has that name, right? Because Arceus is just called Arceus. It's not Arceus and Blagato or whatever the fuck they would call it. It's got two names, so there's two games, so that you can trade Pokemons with your friends. I don't know if that's been a thing since the Game Boy days, but I'm assuming it still is. It's a new generation, and cool. I hope everyone that's excited for Pokemon fucking loves this game, because I know people really like Pokemon.
Yeah, this is not me mocking it. The Pokemon has always been one of those things. I respect it for what it is, but I have
could you make the show sound any older? The Pokemon.
The Pokemons.
This fucking guy. Oh man.
Just never for me.
That's fair. Maybe it wasn't, but people like him. So don't be a hater or whatever. I don't know. Pokemon's fine. I think it's cool sometimes, except for when they turn them into keys.
Wait, what?
I don't like it when they're fucking keys. You ever saw the key Pokemon?
No.
There's a Pokemon that's it's like a keychain, dog.
Fucking hate that. I don't like that at all.
There's a Pokemon that's like a lamp.
What's its name? Do you know its name?
I don't know. Probably Lampy or something stupid.
Lamprey. We got two more stories I want to touch on real quick. First up from Video Game Chronicle, Fallout New Vegas 2 reported in very early talks at Microsoft. Speaking on his premium giant bomb show Grub Snacks, paywalled and transcribed by Video Game Chronicle, VentureBeat's Jeff Grubb claimed the original developer Obsidian could create a sequel to the classic RPG that is now under the same roof as license holder Bethesda. This is very early, but the people have begun talks to say the words and set. No, let me start over again. This is from Jeff Grubb. This is very early, but people have begun to have talks and say these words in sentences, and those words are Obsidian and New Vegas 2. We're talking years and years away. There's at least an interest in conversations happening around making something like that actually reality. A lot of people at Microsoft think this could work, and there are a lot of interest to make it happen, end quote. David, this is Jeff Grubb saying something that he overheard. It's the same shit that I've overheard. It's nothing new here. This is just someone with some credibility said New Vegas 2, and now every fucking article has to have New Vegas 2 because everyone's freaking out over it. This shit is not even confirmed yet. This shit isn't even greenlit yet. This is pure speculation of people at fucking random websites saying, hey.
There's a potential that the people at Bethesda, who are now housed in the same place as Obsidian, could be making another New Vegas.
I've been saying this shit for a year.
If they choose to, and then decide to, and then they'll have to make it. So in 6 to 8 months, we'll have an idea if they've decided to potentially greenlight it. And then around 4 to 6 months after that, they might have the team in place and start production or pre-production. Then we'll have another month or two of pre-production, followed by a 4-year cycle for the new video.
2030, maybe Fallout New Vegas 2, maybe. This drives me nuts because Jeff Grubb didn't even say this is happening. He just said he's heard people talking about it. Fuck, I've heard people talking about it. Everyone was talking about this idea.
We've talked about it, and we're an authority on this kind of thing.
It makes fucking sense because everyone's in the same roof together. And fucking Fergus Urquhart, who's the head of Obsidian, has openly said, hey, I would love to do this now that it's all under one house now. I think he openly said that. I could be wrong on that. But someone said that somewhere.
See, now even more speculation. Potentially a guy that's involved said the thing. Maybe it wasn't him and I'm misremembering, but I think it might have been.
I'm speaking on the same fucking level of authority as Grubb is here in this case. This is one of those things that someone just heard, a person who is known for industry leaks, because Jeff Grubb does have the inside track. He's like a Jason Schreier or a Zuge, whatever, the X on Twitter. And since or Colin Moriarty, and he said it, so people are going to fucking run with it as gospel. I'm telling you
it's important,
right now.
It's important for everyone to remember That you heard it here first, folks. GamePoints breaking the news. New
Motherfucker,
Vegas 2.
I
100% confirmed. We said it.
over
Don't worry
6
about
months ago, I remember fucking saying I've heard people at Enix out fucking talking about this specifically. God damn it, David.
Yeah, that's why what I said was funny.
But it literally
Like how
is
mad
just
you are
them.
about it.
It's just them mentioning it in passing. It literally is things like, "Man, that would be cool, wouldn't it?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what this is." It's just people saying, "Yeah, that'll be cool, wouldn't it?"
Yep.
But everyone's fucking treating it like gospel. God damn it.
Speaking of people that have heard things,
Yeah. Anyways, before we go into that, the main reason why I wanted to bring up this article is just to highlight the fact that this means fuck all. It means that.
oh yeah, if you couldn't tell from the just rampant sarcasm from this section, we would be excited for a New Vegas 2, but this is in no way a confirmation of New Vegas 2.
It's not even a confirmation that a confirmation has happened. It's not even confirmation that's even started. It's just
This is worse than the teaser trailer of a game that's just the title, because this is a teaser trailer if it talks of potentially greenlighting a title.
Yeah, but a lot of people are saying this is happening now. So I just want to go on record saying this is not even greenlit yet.
But if enough people say this is happening and get really fucking excited, then maybe that will show that there's interest, and then it will happen.
There
Make
is a
your
lot
dreams
of that going
reality.
on. There is a lot of that
Everybody.
going on. Shit like this is
Octothorpe New Vegas 2. Let's go.
shit like this is planted amongst certain leakers. I'm not saying Grub is one of those, but there are certain people who are big in the media who get I don't necessarily use the word planted stories because that seems kind of untoward, but I know for a fact a lot of their sources who are speaking anonymously are actually PR marketers who are trying to drive up some kind of interest and see what's there.
Cool. Everybody express your interest. Go on the internet right now. We're in, however many minutes till we're done. Oh, boy.
Controlled leaks, I guess, would be a term for it.
Yeah, that works. I like it.
David, we have one more news story up. Why don't you go ahead and read this one, because I think this is up both our alleys.
Indeed. A complicated series of originations. It's originally from Famitsu, the Japanese publication. But it was tweeted out by Nibelon, or Nibelian, or however you say that guy's name. I don't know.
He's got One Punch Man for his little icon there. And since neither one of us read Japanese, we're kind of beholden on what he says.
He's fairly Twitter famous, and we've used him quite a few times. But yeah, the original article is Japanese, and it says, Square Enix interested in more 2.5 HD remakes. Square Enix is planning to develop more of the HD 2.5 remakes in the future. The responsible, Team Asano, has compiled a list of Square Enix games from the SNES era and chose Live a Live as the most suitable title. So that means they got a whole bunch. The fact that it wasn't Chrono Trigger is fucking stupid. Second place on their list was ActRaiser. Now, this doesn't really mean anything to us right this second. With them showing off Live a Live, we kind of speculated, hey, we're probably going to get more stuff in that cool Octopath style. And, we've also got Triangle Strategy, and now this. It makes sense for them to make more things that look this flippin' cool.
And Square's going... Good.
It's just Super Nintendo perfected, so yeah, give us just all of those cool Super Nintendo games. Let me know when Secret of Mana comes out.
I don't need Secret of Mana. We're getting Front Mission.
I don't care what you need.
Fair enough. We're getting Front Mission 1 and 2, though.
Yes, but they're not in this style.
But they are.
We're
they are
specifically
like
talking. I'm aware, Steven, but we're specifically talking about the HD 2D remakes. And since Front Mission is already a thing we know about, please follow along with me. Do I need to wink and speculate other cool Super Nintendo games?
I was going to, because that was going to lead me into the ActRaiser being in second place. Now, we had our ActRaiser Renaissance, which I think was amazing. But when that game came out, I said this opens the door to both Illusion of Gaia and Terranigma. And please, for the love of God, give me those games. I don't think they would do too well in 2D HD, however, though. I would like to see them do what they did with the ActRaiser Renaissance game, where they just kind of do that with it. If you want a good HD 2D remake game that I can think off the top of my head, that would be Final Fantasy VI, and we've harped on that repeatedly.
Yeah, it's clearly the best two options are Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're remaking Super Nintendo RPGs, you literally can't get any higher,
right,
than those two video games. There's nowhere else to go.
And
But I
I
feel
would
like
love
we're
to
just
see
going to
that.
get a million other little games that maybe didn't get enough love, or they just want to re-release, and there you go.
Hey, fucking live alive, live a live, live alive, live a live. The fact that they are releasing that, as I said, when that first announced, means anything is on the table.
Yeah, they could make all kinds of stuff.
So I am
And there's
really
a bunch
looking
of
forward
games
to
that I'd
that.
like to see. So I'm excited that they're actually leaning into it, and it looks like they're putting more focus on something that they made that's really damn cool. So good
You know,
job, guys.
also might be really good with its HD 2D style, and it was a PlayStation game, not a Super Nintendo game, but I think you could still incorporate it pretty well because that HD 2D look really does resemble a lot of early PlayStation stuff, especially
Kind
RPGs.
It kind of does.
I would love to see them do this with Xenogears.
They could, but it's like a weird step backwards
I know. It would be it would be weird, but I think they could do it.
because it's a game that was in 3D, but at this point looks just bad, just so bad. Uh, but it would still be getting demade into 2D, but would look better than the current version. I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like they'd be better off doing some weird up res texture AI nonsense, which is what we'd be more likely to get if we're being honest. But it's an interesting idea. Kind of reverse engineering some of those PlayStation RPGs back to a Super Nintendo era.
I'd be very interested in seeing that happen. I don't know if they're willing to do it, but I would like to see them try to do it. Also, you have the. I need to actually make sure there's a Square game, so never mind. David, we're not going
Yes.
to really know what Square is going to do coming up next, but one thing we can be assured of is going to have a really stupid fucking name.
Absolutely.
So
It'll have the worst name, unless it is just a re release of something that already came out, in which case it'll have a limited to the 90s level dumb name.
So as we wait for whatever this new HD 2D game remake, which is more or less, in my opinion, confirmed at this point, it's coming. We just don't know what it's going to be, and I'm sure I'm going to enjoy it. As we wait for that to inevitably get announced, what can I keep myself occupied with? What has come out this week?
Well, there are new releases this week, but Steven, in case you forgot, Elden Ring came out last week.
Yes. But
So
unfortunately,
what I'm
both you
saying
and I felt like shit on Tuesday and couldn't do the show then.
yeah, but I'm just saying that because I feel immediately bad for all of the following video games. First up, I definitely feel bad for Elex 2,
Real
releasing
bad
on the
release time.
PlayStations, Xboxes, PC. This is an open world RPG that's a sequel to Elex, which is a science fantasy combination world that is kind of a Souls-like, and kind of was when it released the first time. And man, that's a bad time to release a game adjacent. Because while I thought Elex was a kind of cool video game that had some squabbles, it's from the team that made the Gothic games. So if you like those, you might like this.
I think Piranha Bytes, it's his name. I'm not positive.
Yes, it is. I liked Elex. I thought it was pretty neat, but that it had some problems. So maybe this is the better one. I just don't think I'm gonna play this game until it's on sale for like $7, if I'm being honest. Also, something I feel bad for: Guild Wars 2: End of Dragons hits PC. This is the third expansion for Guild Wars 2, which I feel like came out a million years ago, and it's getting a third expansion. I thought they've had way more than that.
It's been out for a while. I think they release an expansion every 2 to 2.5 years.
Yeah, that's fair. If you are actively playing Guild Wars 2, you probably already knew this and were excited about it. If you're not, you probably forgot that was a game entirely, like I did. Next up, Far Changing Tides hits the PlayStations, Xboxes, Switch, and PC. This will be on something I get to eventually, but not soon. Action adventure puzzle platformer. This is following in the footsteps of Far Lone Sails, which is a game that I actually really enjoyed.
Yeah.
It's an atmospheric vehicle adventure that follows the emotional journey of a boy and his ship as he embarks on a voyage to find a new home.
I believe it's on Game Pass, by the way. I will be playing this probably Wednesday because it's a 3-hour playthrough.
Yeah, it's not going to be a huge game, but I remember I liked the other one quite a bit, and so I'm excited for this one too. Also at this week, Shadow Warrior 3 hits PlayStation, Xbox, PC. This is I don't know. This is the funny, campy version of Doom that we get every once in a while.
It's Doom with memes.
Yeah, it's meme Doom. Launches the offbeat first-person shooter series to the next level with a seamless blend of fast-paced action gunplay, razor-sharp melee combat, and a spectacular free-running movement system.
Shadow Warrior 2 was actually good too, so.
Yeah, the Shadow Warrior games are usually pretty funny. The protagonist is definitely going to talk a lot and will probably say a surprising amount of crap before you hear him repeat himself, but I promise you, you will hear him repeat himself. Because this dude loves to talk shit. That's how he's always been. Shadow Warrior's cool, but dude, I got something to play. Also out this week, Babylon's Fall hits the PlayStations. Experience acclaimed developer Platinum Games' signature combat in Babylon's Fall with up to 3 other players, or take on the Tower of Babel alone. And this new cooperative action RPG.
Being sent out to die.
If only I wasn't playing a cooperative action RPG. Man, this game looks fucking cool. It does. It's Platinum Games. It's co-op. I would want to play this just any other time of the year.
Even if Elden Ring didn't come out, this game is being sent off to die by Square Enix, because Square Enix is publishing it. They have done like 0 marketing for it, despite it being a Platinum game, which
I forgot this game was even announced. This game just came out.
That's what I'm getting at. This is being sent off to die because Square Enix knows it's probably going to bomb. In my opinion, it's probably going to bomb. And you know that Square Enix thinks it's going to bomb because what else are Square Enix releasing this week, which we'll get to? Fucking Triangle Strategy.
Yeah, and we might as well talk about that one now. Triangle Strategy hits Switch this week, and it's that game that looks like Octopath, except for it plays like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Super excited for this. God damn, am I eager for this.
It's developed by Tomoya Asano, who produced Bravely Default and Octopath Traveler. It's a tactical, turn-based, role-playing strategy game, a la Fire Emblem or Final Fantasy Tactics or Disgaea or Ogre Battle, any of those things. And this game looks fucking awesome. It had a demo. It was great. This game's probably going to be incredible. I'm not going to play it for like a year, but it looks really good.
No, I'll be playing this when it comes out. This is going to because I haven't sunk my time into Elden Ring yet because I've been trying to polish off Horizon.
See, we talked about this at the beginning of the year. I set aside. Game. Yeah, I set aside my new game money and I bought the game that I was going to buy. So all this stuff sounds cool. I already spent my new game money. Which really makes me feel bad for the last one on my list because literally any other year. This could have been last year, the year before, any year. Pick any year in the last decade, and I would have picked this one. Gran Turismo 7 releases on the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. Hey, I'm David. If you don't know me, I really fucking like racing games. I think they're great. If you don't like cars or racing games, you probably won't like Gran Turismo 7. This will be far more of a simulation than you'd get from, say, the Forza Horizon series or some of the dirt. I think, is it the mainline dirt? I don't know. There's so many dirt breakoffs now that it's one of those is more casual and the other one's a simulation. It looks amazing. It's got incredible vehicle AI. And it's a throwback to the old version of Gran Turismo's where you actually start with pocket chains and you buy a crappy beater used car and you slowly race your way up to an amazing garage of super awesome vehicles, which is kind of a racing game style that's been lost for a long damn time. It's been the Forza Horizon throwing you 500 cars in 20 minutes. It's been mostly just driving race cars like you get from a lot of the grid games. It's, any of the sponsored racing games where you just race as famous people. I don't know. I'd be stoked.
I wish this was on Game Pass because I actually want to play Gran Turismo 7. But
after playing Forza?
I'm not spending a single dime on it.
Because you don't like cars at all.
No, so but I like the idea of starting with like a beater and working my way up.
Right?
It's now a racing game with a goal in mind.
Gran Turismo has been one of my favorite franchises since I was but a wee lad in the mid-90s when it came out, because it was always the car RPG.
Yes.
You start at level 1 with a crappy piece of crap car fighting and scrapping for like 4th or 5th place in a race of like 8 people until you can scratch enough money together to get a better exhaust and some better tires and start winning some races so that you can buy a better damn car.
I defeat my enemies to get new loot to defeat harder enemies.
Yeah. And it's just a perfect gameplay loop that I've missed desperately forever. This game looks better than it ever has. And well, one, I still don't have a PlayStation 5 because they're fucking impossible to buy. And
like 2 years on, you still can't fucking find one of those fucks.
Yeah. And two, it's just, I spent my new game money. But if anyone watching picks up a copy of Gran Turismo 7 and they want to tell me how great they think it is, let me know. I'll live
Live
vicariously.
vicariously through their gameplay. David,
That's all I got.
that does it for new releases, which means that's also does it for the show as well. This has been Game Points episode 299, and thank you all for showing up. We do stream normally every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time right here at Twitch TV/GamePoints. Today is an oddity. We are streaming Monday. We realize that, but typically you can show us on Tuesdays. And if you can't watch us live, you can watch us at any of the other tech platforms out there, being YouTube, BitChute, Odyssey, Rumble, all that good stuff.
I don't even know half the things you said.
Don't worry about it. You're not going to like any of them. If you want to support the show because you liked what you saw here for some god unknown reason, there's a myriad of ways to do so. Follows, bits, notifications, subs. There's a Discord you can join down there. There's a Twitter page over at GamePoints PC. You can follow myself, Steve Brand, at CapitalistPig21, and David there at Palstrive_Satori. I will be back Wednesday. We'll be taking tomorrow off because I have shit to do, unfortunately. But we'll be back Wednesday, probably with that Far Changing Tides game. That's a great streaming game for me. I can usually sit down and I play it for like 3 hours and be done with it. That's what the first one literally ended right when my time to stop happened. So looking forward to playing through that. And of course, you'll probably see some more Horizon and or Elden Ring on the stream as well. Anyways, I think that wraps it up here. Thank you all for showing up. This has been Game Points, and until next time, we're out of here.